discussion. If I can help in the discussion, but since Peter and Amiel is here, they can definitely help in the discussion. So that's why I'm doubly happy. Okay, so so let's start by paying homage to Sakyamuni Buddha. Let me share my screen. Okay, palms join. The paw. You're probably muted.
Muni Buddha, Namo Sakyamuni Buddha, Namo Sakyamuni Buddha. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to join our study group again in today's arch. Motion and the stillness are one. So how can we get the motion, the stillness at the same time? So, oh, it's your turn to let us know.
Okay, Amitofo. Share is good. Host disabled participant screen sharing. Could you please allow me to share, Erwin?
Yes. Okay.
Okay na. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we can see your one.
You can see it na? Sige. Never mind. Slippers na lang.
Wait, sir.
Okay, so tonight my topic is again on non-duality. So we've been going through non-duality so many times already, but hopefully tonight we've already been able to. I'm counting on you guys to share your perspective, your insights on non-duality. Apparently, this is just as easy to learn, in the words of Venerable Yue, as easy to learn as emptiness. So let's go through. Motion and stillness are one. Okay. Okay. Erwin, maybe I'll do the. Can we do the book first? I forgot completely. We'll do the readings first. So I'd like to invite Ube to do the first reading, and then Peter can do the next 3 chapters. We miss your voice, Peter. So
Okay, I'll share my screen.
Yes, please.
Okay.
I have man the book, so I can start the ano.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. Motion and stillness are one. Someone once asked me, it is often emphasized in Buddhism to subdue and safeguard the mind so that it focuses immovably on a single point. But you always say being moved is the most beautiful state. Is this not contradictory? How can we be moved while remaining immovable? The state of being immovable and movable do not conflict with each other. They are both equally moving. As the Sastra on the awakening of faith in the Mahayana states, with one mind opens up two aspects. The mind can encompass all phenomena. Conversely, all phenomena in the universe also arise from the mind. Hence, there is no need to specifically differentiate between the abstract and concrete, or movement and stillness. An abstract state can also be wondrous, and delight can also be found in a concrete state. There is no need for such dichotomous views. Similarly, movement and stillness are non-dual. Movement is akin to stillness, and stillness is akin to movement. There is no need to separate the two. Movement, such as being moved by a situation, arises from circumstances that are kind, compassionate, benevolent, just, and patient. Take the compassionate acts, such as giving up one's body to feed a tiger or cutting off one's flesh to feed an eagle. Are they not moving? Or when seeing a person who has attained a state of ease, joy, and a peaceful mind after many days of meditation, is this not moving? Therefore, the states of movement and stillness are equally moving. Peter.
The Buddha's teaching of calming and contemplation explained that meditative concentration gives rise to wisdom. Most people have misconception of separating meditative concentration and wisdom when explaining this term, elaborating that wisdom can only arise after practicing meditative concentration. This is dichotomous. This is a dichotomous view. Meditative concentration and wisdom derive from each other. They are non-dual. Some may say that the highest state of cultivation is to be immovable, silent, and calm. However, the Buddha Dharma is practiced for the purpose of delivering all living beings. The question is, should we be in a state of movement or stillness? When Sakyamuni Buddha attained awakening while meditating on the diamond throne beneath the Bodhi tree, he had already attained the immovable state. Therefore, he did not abide in life or death. However, he continued to deliver sentient beings. He chose not to abide in nirvana out of kindness and compassion. Is this not a non-dualistic state, where there is movement and stillness and movement? The Buddha said he had not uttered a single word after having expounded the Dharma for 49 years at over 300 assemblies. Does this not show that movement and stillness are the same? The state of sentient beings is different from that of the Buddha. For example, one sees sea waves raging during a typhoon, but in the Buddha's eyes, the sea is always peaceful and calm. When seeing a still lake, we may think it is in a constant state, but water has the power to carry boats, irrigate the land, and nourish all beings in life. Is this not the wondrous state of non-duality between movement and stillness? Emil? Or should I keep going? I'll pass it to Emil, thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, so there is a well-known dialogue in the Dharma of Non-Duality chapter in the Vimalakirti Nirdesa Sutra. After 32 bodhisattvas had each described their understanding of the Dharma gate of non-duality, Manjushri Bodhisattva concluded, to be without words, without sayings, without manifestations, without consciousness of all phenomena, and to transcend all questions and answers is the way to enter the Dharma gate of non-duality. He then asked Vimalakirti, for the way to enter the Dharma gate of non-duality, to which Vimalakirti replied with silence. This silence was as loud as thunder. Furthermore, when the Buddha held up a flower on Vulture Peak, only Mahakashapa smiled in response. So the Buddha said, I have the treasure of the true Dharma I, the wondrous mind of Nirvana, the true reality without form. It is a profound teaching not set in written words, but is a separate transmission beyond the teachings. This I entrust to Mahakashapa. Thus, the spirit of Chan was born in the thunderous silence of Buddha's flower and Kasyapa's smile. Does this not show that stillness is inseparable from movement and that limitless action is within stillness? One more, no. Many have asked Chan masters, what is the Buddha Dharma? The Chan masters would sit with their eyes closed without saying a single word. Those that understood would exclaim, aha, I got it. I got it. Okay, next. Yeah,
Please continue.
okay. Such wordless actions are neither stillness nor movement. And concurrently, stillness and movement, it all depends on how one awakens to the path. Having heard so many stories, have they stirred the still lake within your heart?
Okay, so um, in the first paragraph, what do you think is the dichotomy? Those who have the book, um, what do you think is the dichotomy in the first paragraph?
Being moved while remaining immovable.
Yes, so being moved while in a state of being immovable. So seemingly two contrasting ideas, but in the non-duality, in the transcendental mind, it's of the same essence. So here we have an image of a person in silent meditation, and then we have um, beside it is the image of monks engaged in their alms. So any observation in this particular what does the silent meditation represent, and how does it relate to the monks collecting alms? So this is in relation to being in a state of moving, immovable, and movement. Remaining immovable while moving. So yeah. So any comments on the photo? This is one is in stillness, right? When you're meditating in silent meditation, it's in stillness. You're trying to quiet the mind, observe the breath, focus on one, concentrate on one subject, on one object. Okay? So meditation. On the other hand, now if you look at the monks, they're doing their routine of collecting. These are Theravada monks, and that's a routine, their morning routine of collecting food, collecting alms. So this one, I made this as an example of moving while remaining immovable. So both are actually the same. So you can be in the stillness of meditation, but you can also be in the noise of the market or the sidewalk or the city, and yet remaining immovable. You have that quiet within you while doing your daily motion, your daily activities. So uh, if you take away the robes of the monk, this could be you doing your work, teaching, or going through your daily routine. Okay, so there's no dichotomy between your meditating, silent meditation, and your daily work. So daily work, when you bring your meditation to your daily work, it becomes Chan. So Chan is still meditation, still observing, but you're doing your actions and your actions and words and thoughts. So this is an introduction to non-duality. So it's mentioned in the second paragraph of, that the Sastra of Awakening of Faith in Mahayana's Buddhism. So it says that there are two aspects of the mind. The mind can encompass all phenomena, and all phenomena arises from the mind. So the mind as the source of all phenomena, and all phenomena and being encompassed by the mind. Okay, so I'm not going to go into the detail of the Sastra on awakening, but if anyone has a point, who has read this Sastra on awakening of faith in Mahayana? Marlene, have you read this? No. So anyway, this is basically the outline of what it is. The mind can encompass all phenomena, and all phenomena arises from the mind. So it's both ways, non-duality again. So who among you is familiar with Pablo Picasso? So Pablo Picasso is one of the most influential artists of modern art. Okay, so these are both his works. So Picasso is one of the leaders of modern art. He co-founded Cubism, an art movement, and then his paintings nowadays sell at 180 million US dollars. So its price range is from 180 to 118 to 180. And you can see that these are two paintings. So this one on the left is Pablo Picasso. He painted this in 1921 when he had just started to become an artist. He came from art school in Spain, and he moved to France, and he started his painting career. So you can see that he was doing realism. So this realism is um, is uh, wait, yeah. So this realism on the left, and on the right, you see it's the same artist. Some years later, in 1960, and his still life, his painting of fruits and vases has changed drastically. Now it has become abstract. So this is connected to the mind, encompasses all phenomena, and conversely, all phenomena of the universe arise from the mind. So the same mind, realism arising from the same mind, and abstraction also arising from the same mind. So which painting of the fruits do you like? Emil, which painting do you like? The realism? Realism is like, so this is non-duality still, right? Because it's the same artist. It's just different phases of his career. So in the beginning of his career, he did realism. Towards the end, he did, but Which one do you like?
I like the first one, the one in 1921.
You like the realism. Okay.
Yeah,
Why do you like it?
because it's creepy, but it's nice.
It's creepy. Okay, it's creepy, but it's nice, right? Okay. Any of you guys, does anyone here in our study group like the second one, the abstract painting, the abstraction? So one is concrete. So paragraph 2 talks about something concrete, representational, and something abstract, something that's more conceptual. So nobody likes the second one.
I like the second one.
Okay. So Peter, what about the second painting do you like?
I think I like the 2D nature of it, which is weird, but it's just my answer. It's more two-dimensional. And I like how it looks kind of like an X-ray, with the triangles kind of look like an X-ray try to tell another story that you usually wouldn't see from just the surface. So trying to see inside the fruit. So it's like seeing a person from the outside, superficial, and then that X-ray dwells deep into the person and try to look at the inside.
Okay. So the second one is a more abstract depiction. But you see the squares, right? I mean the triangles.
Yes.
And the
Actually,
triangles look like
abstract,
they're cross-section.
but I think abstract paintings are actually more complicated than the realism, because the abstract artist once explained to me that the shapes have it's a language for the abstract artist.
Yes, yes. So
Amiel and I are more simplistic. We like the realist.
like the realism also. Okay, so if you look at the paintings with a non-dualistic mind, through non-dualistic eyes, you would be in the middle. You would. Am I lagging? No.
There's an echo.
Right. I wonder why.
Parang rap artist.
Yes.
I wonder why it's happening. Anyway, it's both paintings came from the same mind, but different time frames, right? So if you're going to look at it with a non-like when he was doing that, the earlier painting, and then as he progressed into a more sophisticated style of abstraction, because he is the father of cubism, abstract cubism. So as he became more sophisticated, this is how he looked like. So the appreciation of art is highly biased on what we like and what we don't like. So because we're still training, we're still trying to be non-dualistic, it's okay. But we have to also think that beyond liking and not liking, we have to look at the impermanence of when he made the painting, that causes and conditions of when he drew that still life painting, was still struggling. He wanted to do something that people will buy. So he did realism, right? Because more people will obviously like realism, and that's true even today. That's true. So not a lot of people will like abstraction. As a matter of fact, most people will find abstraction intimidating and cannot relate to abstraction. But you know what, the non-duality is there also. The prices are the same, whether it's from the blue period, from his early work to the later works, he still sells at $180 million. So yeah, so you see, regardless of how the painting looks like, the price is the same. It has been benchmarked into that um into that range. And how can you do that? How can you say this is more beautiful and this is more but so you cannot really say this is more beautiful, so this should be priced higher, or this is not so beautiful because it's a bit ugly, so it shouldn't be priced the same way. It should be priced lower. See, so the non-duality there is, in a way, the price point is non-dual. It doesn't distinguish between the early works and the later works, between the realism and the abstraction and the abstract art. Okay, so that would be an example for um, non-duality of mundane, in terms of the mundane perspective. So how does being spiritual and emotionally moved arise? We're on paragraph 3 now. So movement and stillness are non-dual. Movement is akin to stillness, and stillness is akin to movement. So how does it arise? It arises through circumstances that are kind, compassionate, benevolent, just, and patient. So this is what it says in the book. And in the book, it mentioned 2 stories. Okay, so examples of benevolence, being just, patience, and compassionate. And do you remember what these traits are? Any of you remember what these traits that bring non-duality are? Okay, let's go. They're actually the traits of perfection, the bodhisattva traits of 6 paramitas, the 6 paramitas, right? So let's go to Prince, to the first story, the one where it says feeding your body to a tiger. So this is it from the Jataka tales, and it was the past incarnation of the Buddha as a bodhisattva, and the prince he was incarnated as Prince Mahasattva. Okay, who wants to read? Please read can someone read the story for us? Who wants to volunteer?
Hello.
Oh, email, please.
Yeah.
I can only see a few people. Sorry, I can't open the ano.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
So you
please. Thank
cannot
you.
see with the others. Non-duality also.
Yes.
They're just there.
They're there. Right,
They're still
right.
there even if you cannot see them. It's
We're
like
all
I knew
here.
it. Amiel can help in the discussion.
all right. Prince Mahasattva. Okay. Prince Mahasattva was the son of King Maharatha, who turned ascetic and had a few followers. On his walk with his closest disciple, he comes to the edge of a cliff, at the bottom of which is a starving tigress, about to eat her newborn cubs in desperation. Oh, it's gone.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. The Bodhisattva tells his disciple to go look for food, and he will stay and try to figure out a way to save her and her young. While his disciple is gone, the Bodhisattva reflects that while his disciple very well may not find food, his body is just so much flesh, as the tradition states. And by giving it, okay, po. Yes, po. By giving it up, he can save the tigress's purity and her cubs' lives. He leaps off the cliff to his death, attracting the tiger's attention with his impact, and she eats his body. In this way, he comes closer to perfecting some of the paramitas, those of generosity, renunciation, morality, resolution, and equanimity. His disciple returns, having not found food, and upon discovering what the Bodhisattva has done, rejoices in his good deed. He comes back with other disciples, and they and the heavens shower the spot with lotus flowers.
Okay, so can you imagine feeding your body to a tiger a mother tiger who has become hungry and is about to eat the baby tigers. And so to prevent such negative karma for the tigers, the Bodhisattva, Prince Mahasattva, flung himself to satisfy the hunger of the mother tiger, and also to save the lives of the cubs. So how many of us can actually do something like that in lesser, in give up your own comfort for others, give up your own luxuries for others, just on that level. Think about it. This one, in this instance, Prince Mahasattva gave up his life, right? Because he's a bodhisattva and he knows the consequences of probably the mother in the animal realm eating the cubs, and thought that it's more important to give the mother good causes and condition, and also the cubs good causes and conditions, so that they can avoid transmigrating into lower realms, right? Very deep actually. So so for those who are not familiar with the paramitas, I'm going to do a very short review because we have some new students. So this is where some of our experts will help us. Okay, so we have another story, King Shibi from the Jakarta Tales also. So Jershon, do you have
Yes,
audio?
yeah,
I mean,
yes,
yeah. Okay. Can you please read the story of King Shibi?
Shibi. Sure. King Shibi. During one of his previous lives, the Buddha offers his own flesh to a hawk to ransom the life of a pigeon. The kingdom of Shibi produced many various kings, of whom was the son and the successor of King Oshinara. The new Shibi king was known for his philanthropy among of his other virtues. One day, Indra and Agni came to test this. The two deities disguised themselves as a hawk and a pigeon. The hawk started chasing the pigeon, who fell on King Shibi's laps and trembling with fear. The hawk demanded the king to surrender the pigeon as its prey. This king, thi- this the king refused, and as he decided to protect the poor thing who had taken refuge under his protection. After much much argument, the hawk agreed to leave the pigeon alone if the king would offer a piece of flesh from his own body, which was equivalent to the weight of the pigeon. The king was more than happy to make such a sacrifice. Strangely, after endle- endlessly cutting of his own flesh from a different parts of his body and putting it on the scale, the king found that the pigeon still overweight. Then the king threw his entire body on the scale. Even he could not equalize the weight of the bird. At this point, the hawk and the pigeon revealed their true identity and offered boons to the kings for his unbounded charitable spirit.
Yeah, so this came from, so this Indra and Agni are from are Hindu deities, and so Yeah, so the story goes that they disguise themselves, and it's the same thing, self-sacrifice, right? For other sentient beings, but um, because of the level of attainment of the bodhisattva, it's something that's most of us will not be able to understand. the self-sacrifice. So what were the sacrifices for? They were a practice of the six perfections. Um, in Mahayana we have six. In other traditions they have 10. But in our um, in our uh, this was in for those of you who weren't with us in our first uh, readings of the book. The six perfections are also known as the six paramitas. These are six ways of cultivation that leads to the cessation of affliction and the attainment of Buddhahood. These are practices to simultaneously liberate oneself and others. Upholding precept is about not violating. These are these are like precepts, and upholding them, um, we learn to respect others and treat them with compassion. So if you want to read up on the six perfections, the paramitas, it's on Buddha Dharma, book 1, page 105 to page 128. 128. So Buddha Dharma, pure and simple. You can read deeper into this. But I'm going to discuss it as a refresher for most of us. So generosity. What is generosity? You practice this to overcome greed, antidote to greed. So overcome your own greed and benefit others. Instead of taking from others, you give to others. Precepts. So precepts is the 5 precepts. So prevent harming oneself as well as others. Ube, can you just give briefly for the benefit of our new um, Dharma brothers the 5 precepts, if you've taken them, or who has taken the 5 precepts?
Yung do not say lies, yung ganon, yung 5
Yes,
precepts.
yes,
Okay.
yes. These are the um, the precepts
No
about not violating others. Right.
no intoxication.
Mm.
Tama ba?
Yes, you're right.
I think Erwin can say it better than
Oh,
me.
Erwin, sige. Yeah, because some of our Dharma brothers here are interested to take the 5 precepts. Yeah, so maybe we can just go through it because it's mentioned here as the second paramita, observing the precepts.
Yeah, so the 5 precepts are abstain from killing, abstain from stealing, abstain from sexual misconduct, abstain from lying, and abstain from intoxicants.
Okay, so those are 5 precepts, and observing them is part of the 6 perfections, 6 paramitas. And then you have you have the paramita, the perfection of patience. This is to overcome hatred and prevents one from harming others out of hatred. It is a practice in increasing our own inner strength. It is not about keeping one's cool in face of internal or external adversity. So patience is to remain kind under challenging circumstances. Okay, next is diligence. So diligence means to overcome indolence, laziness, and also it teaches us not to be lazy. And also, as for diligence, it is a persistent effort that encourages us to do all that is wholesome, consistent effort to do wholesome deeds. We need to be diligent when practicing all the 6 perfections. In other words, we need to practice generosity, precept, patience, meditative concentration, and practical wisdom diligently. So the next, so next is meditative concentration. So meditative concentration overcomes a scattered and distracted mind. It also teaches others not to be distracted and stay focused. So once you're like you attain a state of non-distraction, you can teach it to others. So that's the point of practicing it, sharing it. Sitting meditation helps us to restrain the 6 sensory roots and subdue and guard the mind by focusing on a single object, such as the breath, or in some cases, a mantra, a simple phrase. So, because it is very difficult for the mind to stay concentrated, thus one's mind wanders off. One gently returns attention patiently back to the object. So in breath counting, for example, we just count the out breath, and when your mind wanders off, or when a million thoughts arise, you just let the thoughts go and go back to your counting. So it brings you back to your object, which is observing the breath. Okay, and by cultivating meditative concentration, we develop a tranquil mind, and it awakens Chan. So who is Mr. Chan? What is Chan? For those who are new to the word, so one can be with Chan, you can be anywhere and still attain peace and calm. So Chan in daily life is a practice of staying peaceful and calm and non-attached to internal and external forces, phenomena. So Chan in daily life by focusing we practice Chan in daily life by focusing and concentrating on one thing at a time. So I think this is the opposite of multitasking, where your mind is divided. So Chan is perhaps it's doable when you reach a certain level of Chan, because the mind is actually boundless. So why not, right? But focus fully on each task at hand and be kind to others. So not only focusing, but that position of being kind, that quality of being kind to others is part of Chan. Chan is living at peace. Chan is living at ease and harmony with everything, within oneself and with everything. And then the last one is prajna wisdom, prajna wisdom. Prajna wisdom overcomes ignorance and deviant views, and also teaches others not to be ignorant or not to have deviant views. So the 6 perfections, when we practice this, we practice it for ourselves and eventually for others. We practice it so that others can also learn. So when you've taken the bodhisattva vows, Peter, we have to help others, right? We practice this and we help others practice it. We encourage others to practice, and that's the point of learning and practicing it. So prajna wisdom is different from just plain wisdom. So it's not ordinary wisdom. In the book Buddha Dharma, Pure and Simple, Venerable Master Xing describes wisdom in 4 levels. So apart from ordinary mundane wisdom, there are 4 levels of wisdom. So the first level is called, right view. Okay, let me go to the next slide. I think okay, here, the 4 levels of wisdom. So we have right view. The first level is right view. Right view is wisdom as understood by sentient beings, ordinary sentient beings, mundane. To have right view means to have correct understanding of the law of karma, or the law of cause and effect. If you have right view, we will not be easily affected by external afflictions. And naturally, we will not create negative actions that are usually a reaction against external experiences. Dependent origination. So the next level of wisdom is understanding dependent origination. This is the wisdom as understood by Shravakas and Pratika Buddhas. Every phenomena is dependent in origination. They come in existences when the right causes and conditions combine, and cease to be to exist when the causes and conditions disperse. For example, a seed can sprout leaves and grow into a tree if the conditions of sunlight, water, and air are present. But if the tree could no longer be reached by sunlight, water, or oxygen, it would die. So it would cease to exist and dissipate into emptiness. So this is the second level of prajna wisdom, of wisdom rather. It is realizing the teaching of dependent origination. So the third level is emptiness. Here we go again with emptiness. So third level of wisdom is emptiness, which is wisdom as attained by the bodhisattvas. So if you made the bodhisattva vow, you have to, we have um, to make this our blueprint, attainment of emptiness, understanding and attainment. When we realize that everything in this world is dependent in origination, it correlates back to dependent origination and right view. We understand that the essence of all phenomena is empty. Emptiness does not mean nothingness. Again, because nothingness is a nihilist point of view. When you say nothingness, it's nihilism. And in Buddhism, that is not our view in Buddhism, because our view in Buddhism is existence is emptiness. Wondrous existence comes from emptiness. Possibility of a wondrous existence. So as the saying goes, wondrous existence arises from true emptiness. Only with emptiness is existence possible. We've discussed this last week in absolute emptiness. So everything in the universe, in the world, can come into being because of emptiness. And the fourth, prajna wisdom or prajna wisdom. It's the highest level of wisdom. Prajna wisdom is only attained by the Buddhas. So matagal pa, we won't really attain it. We will have snippets of it, maybe glimpses of it, or every now and then we will experience it. But the Buddhists are consistently, they have this consistently. Venerable Master Xingyan said, prajna is the complete and clear wisdom of awakening. Complete wisdom of awakening. We can have little awakenings, we can have little realizations because we're not yet Buddhas. All Buddhas, okay, prajna is the complete and clear wisdom of awakening that all Buddhas attain through realizing the true form of all phenomena. Prajna is pure wisdom without discrimination. So, non-duality again. Non-duality, no discrimination, no attachment, no discrimination. To be without deluded emotions or thoughts, that is prajna, wisdom. Prajna is true and formless wisdom, the direct realization of the intrinsic empty nature, and that there is nothing to be attained. Sounds familiar, right? The Heart Sutra. Okay, so for us, let's just go for, whatever we can attain. But at least when we know all those, when we know those four, when we have those, the tiers of wisdom, we have a blueprint to try to follow. And we can have something that we will try to practice whenever we can on a daily basis. Okay, so meditative concentration and prajna wisdom. So this part of the book I didn't really understand completely. That's why I texted Erwin earlier and asked him earlier, Erwin, can you help me with this? With explain something. It was this particular paragraph on meditative concentration and prajna wisdom, and these are the two last. Yeah. Actually, it's prajna wisdom is number 4. Meditative concentration is paramitas, and then levels of wisdom. So right. So and it says in the book that meditative concentration and wisdom derive from each other, and they are non-dual. So what I can't really concretize, or what I can't really figure out, Erwin, is or maybe Marley can also help. Why is it a misconception to separate meditative concentration? So what is meditative concentration that's referred to here, and wisdom? Perhaps the wisdom that's referred to here is the 4 levels of wisdom, right? So in any level that you have of wisdom, why can you not explain, well, why can you not say that wisdom arises from separate is separate from meditative concentration? Would you like to? It's the which paragraph? Paragraph 4, Erwin. So I'm going to read the paragraph again. So the Buddhist teaching of calming and contemplation explains that meditative concentration gives rise to wisdom. Most people have the misconception of separating meditative concentration and wisdom when explaining this term, elaborating that wisdom can only arise after practicing meditative concentration. So this is a dichotomous view. Meditative concentration and wisdom derive from each other. They are non-dual. So it's quite deep. So can someone help me with this? And perhaps our other people also. What's your view on this, Erwin? So meditative is the meditation, right? You derive meditative concentration from the meditation, and wisdom arises from that. But what's a non-dualistic? How does it become non-dualistic?
We can't hear you, Erwin.
Yeah, we need. Please unmute, Erwin.
How about now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, so I think what Venerable Master Xing Yun is trying to emphasize in that paragraph is that it's not like meditation is the cause and then prajna wisdom is the effect. That's why in the 6 paramita, both are there. Now, when we understand the 6 paramita, we attain perfection in all 6. It's not like when you attain perfection in meditation, then after that,
So it's not a step by step. Parang it's all
can go together. So
Yeah,
I think
and
that's the emphasis.
okay, it's simultaneous, and also because the other paramitas go hand in hand with prajna wisdom, because prajna wisdom is the eye. It's the lead, right? Diligence happens if you have prajna wisdom. It's goes together.
It's like the 2. Well, in fact, the 6. You practice one or the other, and then it just brings the others along. Everything will just grow to one way or the other. You practice one, generosity.
Intertwined sila.
Yeah.
They're intertwined.
Yes, they're intertwined. So even the generosity, you have to practice it in prajna wisdom, because you can practice generosity the wrong way. If you give the kid on the street some money and he uses it to buy, what's that?
Drugs.
To buy drugs, then
Rugby.
that's not giving. That's not helping him. That's going to make him worse. So it's not done with prajna. So generosity has to be done with prajna wisdom, and then diligence also has to be done with prajna wisdom, so that you can continue practicing, because you see the wisdom in practicing it. So it's like that, Erwin. Also, so there's no dichotomy between the two. It's all interrelated and harmonious, intermingling, arising and ceasing together, right?
Mhm.
That's what it means. Is that what it means?
Yeah, I think, and practicing both in this sense, meditative concentration and wisdom. But like we are discussing today, it should be all six,
Mm.
right? You don't say that I'll just practice wisdom and I'll be able to do everything else. Cannot be like that.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Erwin. Yeah, I had to ask you because you're the most diligent in meditation.
It's just my own understanding.
Thank you for sharing that, Erwin. It clarified things for me also. Now it connects. I was able to connect the dots. Okay, so attainment of concentration, and so we have that. Paragraph 5, and towards the end. Paragraph 5 and towards the end of the other paragraphs. I would like to after this I would like to get insights of our other participants. So I would go to briefly through the paragraph. So attainment of stillness in motion, and okay, the attainment of stillness in motion. Most of us cultivate to be in a state of immovability, silence, and calm. Sometimes overlooking that the Buddha Dharma is practiced do not only ourselves, but also others, and take inspiration from the Sakyamuni Buddha, who attained the immovable state of enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, and therefore did not abide in life and death. However, instead of going into parinirvana, he continued to teach and stayed in the Saha world to deliver the sentient beings, countless of sentient beings, and he did this out of loving kindness and compassion. So his example is a wondrous non-dualistic state where there is movement in stillness, is the attainment of nirvana, and stillness in movement, the sharing of nirvana, the teaching, the helping other sentient beings so that they too can attain it. That is the movement. So when he was teaching, he was a Buddha already. He was a Buddha. He has attained the state of Buddhahood, but continuing to help others, continuing to enlighten others, is a state of state of movement, moving the immovable so that others can also attain immovability. So moving through the teachings, use the teachings so that others can attain immovability. So no dichotomy there. So that for me, that is the most profound example of non-duality. So we have here a photo of we have here an image of the Buddha in attaining nirvana, and in the other image, I think this is his father, King Suddhodana. He went to whom he taught the Dharma to in his deathbed, and he continued to teach the Dharma. And so King Suddhodana also was attained awakening even in his last breaths. Okay, so 9 o'clock. We have 30 minutes to discuss. So I'd like to conclude. I'd like to close the session by pointing out that in the last chapters, in the concluding chapters, there were two examples that I found most profound, albeit most simple Okay, so profound and simplicity. No dichotomy there. Okay, they're of the same. Profundity and simplicity. The simplicity of understanding. And these examples are, the first example would be expressed in the Buddha's words, where he said that he had not uttered a single word after having expounded the Dharma for 49 years and at over 300 assemblies, benefiting countless, countless of beings for over 2,500 years now. So he has not uttered a single word, but here we are benefiting from that non-utterance. From that compassion and loving kindness that made him share the Buddha Dharma to us all the way to the present, to our present. And additionally, the second most moving for me, most moving instance and profound and simple would be the nonverbal transmission of the Dharma at Vulture Peak, where the Buddha held up a flower and the assembly was awestruck. They couldn't figure out what it was, except for Mahakasyapa, who understood exactly what the Buddha meant. And he responded to the Buddha with a smile. It was a nonverbal transmission. That was the transmission of Chan. And thus, the teachings were entrusted to him. Buddha entrusted teachings to Mahakasyapa. And the spirit of Chan was born in the thunderous silence of the Buddha's flower, and Mahakasyapa's smile. Okay, so these were for me the most profound instances of non-duality. I'd like to share something briefly, non-duality, about Chan and non-duality, because one of the monastics that have opened my eye to non-duality and the thunderous silence of unspoken dharma, of unspoken transmission, is Venerable Yung Kwang. So in one of the activities where we taught, we went to provincial CPDRC, provincial detainment. The prisoners, the provincial prisoners. In the past, we taught them Tai Chi and meditation and art. So in one of those instances, Master Yung Kwang was with us, and that was the very first instance when I initially I didn't understand. I had to ask Erwin, but but it was one of the very first instances where I saw transmission of something that's nonverbal. So what happened was, the inmates were doing their routine. They were dancing in their orange costumes. They were dancing, and we were in a loft. We were in what do you call it? In like an amphitheater. So they were down there. We were in an amphitheater. We were looking at them, observing them, and Venerable Yung Kwang went all the way to the end. There was like a ramp that extended so that you could see better, because the part where we were, it was our first time, one of the first few times we went there, so we were still a bit wary of the prisoners. We didn't know how they would react to the monastics and to the devotees going into the prison, right? So when Venerable Yung Kwang went all the way to the end to observe them, it started to drizzle. So it started raining, but the inmates were dancing and they were still performing. And so when we saw that it drizzled and it was starting to rain, we all wanted to go to Venerable Yung Kwang and actually give her an umbrella so she can keep herself dry. We didn't want her to get sick, because being the abbess of the Philippines, we knew how important she was. She couldn't get sick, right? So it drizzled, but there she was, just standing there. And I don't remember exactly, maybe I'm romanticizing it, but I think somebody really handed her an umbrella, because I remember it. Somebody handed her an umbrella and she did this slow motion. She didn't accept the umbrella and she just stood there. and watched them perform all the way until it finished. So I was wondering, why was she refusing the umbrella? Because I was new that time. And then I don't know if it was you, Erwin, who I asked, why would she refuse the umbrella? But I did get an answer, right? So I just observed. She was there getting wet. And then finally dawned on me, it clicked. She wasn't going to keep herself dry while the inmates were dancing. So this was compassion and loving kindness. And she didn't say anything. It was just a motion of the hand like this. And she went there and she just got, she got rained on. And that was the first time I realized, after watching, observing her, and said, giving it, why would she refuse it? If she gets sick, what's gonna happen to, sacrificing her own safety, sacrificing her own comfort, just so that she can share in the and show appreciation for of what the inmates were doing. They were getting drenched. They didn't stop dancing. They continued. And so the venerable was there watching. And so I also went forward behind and observed. And I realized this was the first. And since then, I would always observe Venerable Yung Kwang whenever we would go on trips for Siddhartha, because I volunteered as a costume designer and costume consultant. Whenever we would go on trips, I would always observe Venerable Yung Kwang, and I would pick up things like that. I would pick up nuggets of wisdom that would otherwise, nonverbal cues. And I would think about it, and then realization would come. Another one example would be when we were performing in Tokyo, and one of the lead roles had lost her her costume, and the costume was donated by a gentleman, a very generous gentleman from Beijing, and was quite famous. He designed for the prime minister's wife, quite high profile, and donated the costume. So we were very careful so that the costumes were taken care of. I had to make sure that I would keep it and instruct the performers to always be mindful so that they would return the costumes in there. She had lost it because she had placed it somewhere. And so I was reprimanding her, and she started crying. she went to Venerable Yung Kwang, and I saw that she was. And Venerable Yung Kwang talked to her and said something to her, and she stopped, comforted her, stopped crying. So I went there, and I wanted to tell the Venerable that, Sifu, I talked to her so many times. She wouldn't, she just didn't care. She didn't. I wanted to say that to Venerable Yung Kwang. But as I approached her, she said one thing, and it kept my mouth shut. And it kept me thinking. And the whole trip, I realized that, yes, that's what I needed. What was it that she said? So when I approached her and about to tell her why I reprimanded the actress, the performer, she just said, patience. That's all she said, patience. So I said, oh, that's what I'm lacking, patience. Because like what we learned here, patience is not practiced when the affliction's not there. You only get to practice patience when you're getting ruffled. Your feathers are getting ruffled when you're getting mad because something uncontrollable happened. So I said, oh, that's right, patience. That's all she said. So I've always been fascinated. I've always been in awe of Venerable Yung Kwang because her actions and minimal words. But I've always observed this with our monastics. Yeah, so even Master Miao Ching, when I asked her, Venerable, we're in a Catholic country. I made my vows to help spread the Dharma, but we're 80% Catholic. How can I do that? I wanted to ask Master Xing Yun, Venerable Master Xing Yun, because we had an audience, after we took the Bodhisattva vows, we were allowed to ask Venerable Master Xing Yun some questions for 20 minutes. And I ran out of the causes and conditions to be able to ask the Venerable Master that. So I went out disappointed. But then I came across Venerable Yung Kwang, and I said, Venerable, I wasn't able to ask Venerable Master Singin. And I said, how will I do it? It's so hard to share the Dharma in a Catholic, in a Christian country. and Venerable Miao Ching was in a rush. She was, I think, going somewhere very important. She answered me with a smile. I said, give them joy, like that. And then that's all she said. And then I realized, right. So a few words, one word can open up your heart, can open up your mind, and it can create harmony in your heart and in your mind. And once that harmony of the heart and mind comes together, you will be able to see things in a non-dualistic way. My dualism is, this is a Catholic country and this is Buddhism. How can I teach? Non-dualism is give joy, embrace, right? Your thought of Catholic and Buddhist is very divisive. It's dividing it. Venerable
we're
Master
all
Singin
human.
said,
We're all
exactly.
human.
Yeah, so Venerable Master Singin said, in matters of religion and politics, embrace the differences. So embrace it. Then the dualism disappears. So that's very important in our learning. Well, I don't know, maybe to me, it's important that we harmonize what seems to be two opposite polarities. We harmonize it with our hearts and with our minds. We find that balance within us, and then the dualism ceases to exist. Now we don't see dualism. We see harmony. We see one essence, but constantly in a state of flux, constantly changing, constantly evolving, arising, and ceasing. So it starts with harmonizing your heart and mind. And this is the middle path that the Buddha taught us.
It's also very difficult to attract or, gather somebody towards your side when you do dichotomy. Diba?
Yes.
Conflict will never, result in anything good.
Yes. Yes, because conflict will divide people. Yes. Harmony will unite people. Harmony unites us. We find that common ground. We find that humanity within each person. We find that emptiness, that Buddha nature within each person that we come across. And from my studies of Buddhism and my practice in Buddhism, I've learned that when you're more in harmony, people gravitate to you.
Yes, yun ang word, gravitate.
Yeah, they gravitate to you. And so they want to become your friend. They want to be around you, like that.
And that's where the affinity opens up the avenue.
That's how you develop affinities. That's because no body, no enlightenment outside of affinities, outside of other sentient beings. You cannot become a Buddha if there's not another sentient being beside you. If you're alone, I don't think you'll become a Buddha. Because you need other sentient beings. For you to become a Buddha, you need the external afflictions. You need the external forces. But
that's why
how do you
affliction is
transform
body
it?
also.
Yes, how do you transform it? That transformation is harmonization. Transform it with harmony. Transform it with loving kindness. Transform it with compassion. Yes. So these are the things these are the Buddha Dharma that have been passed to us in 2,500 years. It had been passed to us through words. Through words, written in words. But we have to act on them. We have to practice them in silence or in words if we want to. Because you can practice in silence or in words. through actions. If you do silence, like Venerable Yung Kwang did, and the Buddha did, raising the flower, that was transmission to action. Okay, so all right. So now I'd like some of us to. I'm going to end this so I can see the
Participants.
other participants. But um, uh, just anything um, just share anything that you've realized about non-dualism, about how opposite things are actually the same but in different. Yeah. So anything that you share is valid, and we would appreciate it. So
So how about
yeah.
what do you mean by not being an inmate? Non-duality, but I just don't understand. Please explain.
Yeah, so the duality there is, I am here, I am a free person, that person there is an inmate. He's not free, he's incarcerated because so that's duality. Non-duality is we are both people. We both feel suffering, and we both deal with suffering. So that's non-duality. The common ground is our humanity, our ability to deal with suffering, and our ability to practice the positive states of mind, loving kindness, like this.
Joe, you want to add anything?
Joe, right, Joe, maybe you'd like to share non-duality in our practice, in your practice of Tai Chi or whatever it is. Is Joe here?
Yes.
It's on mute.
Ah,
The duality of the audio.
Okay.
sounded Joe there.
Right. Well, Tai Chi is like motion and stillness. You overcome motion with stillness, yet you cannot feel. You cannot appreciate stillness if there is no motion. Sometimes you have to initiate motion to be able to discover stillness. With Tai Chi also there's emptiness and fullness. Empty of probably energy and a combination of hard energy and soft energy. Like hard energy would be trying to defeat an opponent by strength, while soft energy tries to stymie or break down the hard energy. And also in the practice of Tai Chi, first few weeks or first few days of Tai Chi, you look clumsy. You probably look coarse. Now there's coarseness in your movement, and to be able to correct coarseness is to practice smoothness. So eventually, you wouldn't be able to determine which is coarse and which is smooth. So there is already a unity, yet both elements are present. That's the way I would look at motion and stillness, by the balance of two forces that they become one actually. So that's how I experience or try to understand motion and stillness by using my analogy on the practice of Tai Chi. I hope I did not add to your confusion.
Okay, thank you, Joe. So physical manifestation of motion and stillness, and energetic manifestation of motion and stillness. So it's continuous. It doesn't end. And in Tai Chi also, Joe, we do, before we start the Tai Chi, we do Uchi, right? Empty. And then when you do the forms and do the Tai Chi, at the end of the forms, you become full of energy and you even feel the plumpness in your hands. And you feel that when you're doing the Tai Chi. So from empty to full. And of course, eventually well, the plumpness goes away. That's why you have to keep practicing, keep doing the Tai Chi every day so that it becomes a habit and it becomes um, you keep having that plumpness. It improves your health. Emil, I want to hear from you.
Okay.
Non-duality.
Yeah, non-duality. Hala. Okay. Tonight I realized that there is non-duality of things because of the empty nature of things. Hala, emptiness. Empty nature of
Oh,
things. It's like
yes, yes.
because we acknowledge or we know that things are always changing, they're impermanent. Um, Thus, we do not really attach or brand something as good or bad because it can change. It can be impermanent. And what is essential is invisible to the eyes. It is through the heart
Anton
that
Superi.
one, yeah, it is through the heart that one can see clearly. Like the eyes of the Buddha in the verse in this page, like despite
Yes,
the
yes.
sea waves are raging, the eyes of the Buddha can see its calmness. See, what is essential is invisible to a normal eye, to the normal eyes of beings, but the Buddha can see the calmness despite the raging waves. So that is what I realized tonight. Because of the empty nature of things, realize that we don't need to be dual with them. We just let it be, live with it, and see what is essential with their true nature. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Emil. Thank you very much. Um, uh, Sheila, would you like to share a few words regarding non-duality?
Yeah, okay. I see non-duality during our Dharma functions. After the Dharma function, everybody starts to clean up. We do not segregate between who's who, who's the boss at the office, who's the worker, who's the volunteer. At the end of the Dharma function, when Master said, okay, I need volunteers, everybody, let's go, let's clean up. Boom, everybody goes into motion and nobody picks and choose their jobs. I'll go to the kitchen and wash the dishes. Other people will go to the altar. Joe sweeps the floor. We don't pick. We don't assign our titles of what we are at home when we get to the temple. We are all equal. We eat together. We eat the same food. The masters, they don't go to the room. They eat with us. They eat the same food. So I see that as nonverbal transmission and then non-duality, how we can just be one person when it comes to completing a task or doing something on behalf of the temple. So I hope that's an example that we can
Very good example, right?
see
Yeah, and some
in our practice.
very good realization.
Mm.
That one. Thank you for sharing that.
All right.
Marlene, would you be able to share? Marlene Lau.
Okay. Well, I see the non-duality in suffering and happiness. Because, you know, when you have suffering, but then with your suffering, then you will overcome it. After you overcome, then you will feel the happiness, you know. And then when it's happiness, when you lost something, that is suffering. You know, when you have something that's dear to you and you lost it, or it's you know, taken away from you, then you suffer. But it is, so I see that they go side by side.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Marlene. Ube, any particular you'd like to share? How many minutes do we have? Oh, we have 3 minutes. Yeah, would you like to share something, Ube, and then
Maybe we ask Peter tonight because we've
Yes,
missed him for
okay,
so long.
Peter. Thanks, Ube. Peter, let's hear you. We missed you.
I got a perfect answer, but like I think it's been ruined by Ube. I was gonna say I'm gonna copy Manjuri Suri by saying nothing at all. So anyway, I didn't say anything.
The thunderous silence. That's what it is. It's the hardest to practice thunderous silence because we always react. And because our culture today, the internet and all that, always teaches us to react, but not to be silent about things. But really, when you're silent, then people get shocked. You can use thunderous silence to an effect. Okay, so on that note, I'd like to request Venerable Yue to share some closing words if you want to, Shufo.
Okay, I've been going on so many things I want to share, but I just because it's only 2 minutes left.
Don't worry, Stefo.
Don't worry,
We
Shufo,
can
we listen to
extend
you.
for you. 30 more minutes.
No thundering silence, Shifu.
I just came back from Camotes. I'm really tired. Okay. Well, okay, and then 2 minutes more. I want to say the PPT is so beautiful every time. Really, it's really nice every time. And the Buddha show in the last PPT, it just looks like oh. And then the third thing I want to say is the artist, yeah, because Odd is the artist, so he used the painting and Paccolo to tell us how to look at the non-duality. And then the first thing I want to talk about, because Odd mentioned Venerable Yongguang, how to say the word Marlin, 为法忘躯, how to say that, or Peter, can you help me? 为法忘躯. So because it was raining and he said, no, I don't need the umbrella. So it's like same as Venerable Master Xing. Always, because for the Dharma, they forget about themselves. 为法忘躯, 忘了他自己. Yeah. How to say it in English? Because once
Is it because of the Dharma?
忘
自己的己呢？
forget.
Right.
Yeah.
So because of the Dharma, you do not attach to the self.
Body, yourself, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
对, yeah, it's like Master Xing, because he didn't want to do the Buddha meets the 那个叫什么神明
Santarino.
The heavenly God meeting with Buddha thing, the event, and he'd been waiting for them to come. And once one of the temple came over, and because there was quite important temple from Taiwan, so he was been waiting. So when Venerable Wu Chang called Master Xing Yun, and he was about to go to restroom, but he didn't. He didn't go. He just go, okay, I go to Buddha Memorial Center right away. So he forget about the go to restroom thing. And then he go to Memorial Center and meet them and talk to them for like 1 hour. And after that, he told his servant and told them, okay, take me to the CR as soon as possible. And it took half an hour in the CR. And why? Because he'd been holding it. And it's really, really hard for him after that. He doesn't want to wait any minutes to meet the temple, those people. And he doesn't want them to wait for him. Even though he only need to take 2 minutes to go to CR, he doesn't want to waste the time. So there's 违法忘躯. Yeah, so it's really touched when I heard the story. And the last thing I want to point out is for Erwin, because Sheila talked about, oh, we go to the temple and everything the same, and then Maureen talked about the happiness and joyful and what, sadness or something. Yeah. So temple, sadness, happiness, and practice. So I think about the pilgrimage, because we've been doing what we've been planning and thinking to do the pilgrimage. And Erwin said, why is it suffering? So non-duality, pilgrimage is a practice. So don't think about it is suffering. It's a practice. It's joyful. Okay.
So are we doing it, Chipo? The 3 steps for
For
frustration.
that, we really want to do
Will
that.
help. I will help, Chipo.
We will make Erwin to do it.
He's the first person on the line. Everybody will follow Erwin.
I did that before. I'm the guide, so I don't need to. I'm the one telling them down, up.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Chipo. You dedicate the merits to all sentient beings. May the merits of our study today allow all, it's the month for filial piety and gratitude. So we dedicate the merits particularly to those who have departed and to our families who are still living and to all sentient beings. So Sifu, can we do the dedication of merits?
Okay, wait. Okay. Palms join.
Equality and patience. Unity and gratitude give rise to great.
Thank you very much. Let's
Thank
have
you,
a photo. Can you turn on
everybody.
your video? You're safe now. You don't need to talk about non-duality anymore. So you can turn on your video. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Lotus flower. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Odds. It was a very nice presentation. I'm really impressed. You really explained it very well. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
so
We don't
Shafu.
have
much.
class next week
Next week?
because it's our training course.
Our what?
Us. Yeah, once
What?
a year.
Training.
We have training course once a year. So we don't
Training
have
course.
class
Shifu
next
training course. Okay.
week.
Okay. Okay, Shafu.
We
Good
gonna
night,
have
everybody.
Good night,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye.
It's still like having class even without the class. Non-duality.
Oh, you
Bye
guys
bye.
can still get online, talk about
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
You are winning.